Accreditation Consultancy by URGS International Certification and Inspection Private Limited. Hello everyone and welcome to URGS International Certification and Inspection Private Limited. In today's rapidly changing business environment, environmental responsibility, sustainability, resource efficiency, and regulatory compliance are no longer optional considerations. They are becoming important factors in how organizations operate, compete, build customer confidence, and demonstrate responsible business practices. Today we are going to discuss Accreditation Consultancy, what it means, why organizations need professional support, what challenges companies commonly face, and how URGS International Certification and Inspection Private Limited can support organizations in preparing for applicable environmental, sustainability, accreditation, certification, and compliance requirements. Whether you are a manufacturer, exporter, service organizations, infrastructure company, engineering organization, energy company, construction business, or another environmentally responsible organization, a structured approach to environmental performance can help you move from basic compliance toward measurable sustainability and long-term business value. So let us understand how organizations can build a stronger environmental and sustainability framework with professional consultancy support from URGS. Now, what is accreditation? Let's first understand the concept. The term accreditation can cover different types of environmental, sustainability, green business, responsible production, and environmental performance recognition schemes, depending on the industry, country, customer requirements, and applicable accreditation or certification framework. The objective is generally to demonstrate that an organization has established appropriate processes and controls relating to areas such as environmental responsibility, resource efficiency, waste management, emissions management, sustainable operations, legal compliance, and control improvement. For many organizations, the requirement may come from customers. For others, it may come from regulators, tender requirements, supply chain expectations, investors, international buyers, or internal sustainability objectives. An organization may therefore need to demonstrate not simply that it has environmental policies, but that those policies are supported by documented processes, records, measurements, responsibilities, monitoring, evaluation, and control improvement. This is where professional consultancy becomes valuable. Accreditation should not be viewed merely as obtaining a certificate or displaying a logo. The real objective should be to establish a practical and sustainable system that can operate effectively within the organization. Now, next is why are organizations focusing on accreditation? There are several reasons why environmental and sustainability requirements are becoming increasingly important. First is customer expectation. Global customers increasingly evaluate suppliers not only on price and quality but also on environmental performance and responsible business practices. Second is regulatory compliance. Environmental laws and regulations are becoming increasingly structured in many markets. Organizations need processes for identifying applicable requirements, monitoring compliance, maintaining records, and taking corrective action where necessary. Third is supply chain requirements. Large organizations may require their suppliers and subcontractors to demonstrate environmental and sustainability performance. Fourth is operational efficiency. Effective environmental management can help organizations identify opportunities to reduce energy consumption, water consumption, material losses, waste generation, and other operational inefficiencies. Fifth is business reputation. Organizations that can demonstrate responsible environmental practices can strengthen their credibility with customers, business partners, employees, investors, and other stakeholders. And finally, sustainability is increasingly becoming part of strategic business planning. Therefore, organizations need to look beyond compliance and consider how environmental performance can support long-term competitiveness. Then third is common challenges faced by organizations. Although organizations may understand the importance of environmental accreditation and sustainability, implementation can be challenging. One common challenge is lack of awareness. Employees may not clearly understand environmental objectives, responsibilities, procedures, or applicable requirements. Another challenge is documentation. Organizations may have good practices but insufficient documented evidence. For example, waste may be segregated correctly, but records of waste generation and disposal may not be consistently maintained. Similarly, energy saving activities may be implemented, but the organization may not have established appropriate measurements to demonstrate improvement. Another challenge is legal and regulatory compliance. Organizations may struggle to identify which environmental requirements apply to their specific activities, locations, products, and processes. A further challenge is performance measurement. It is difficult to improve what is not measured. Organizations therefore need appropriate environmental indicators and monitoring mechanisms. Another challenge is internal auditing. Even where systems exist, organizations may not conduct systematic internal assessments to determine whether processes are implemented effectively. Finally, organizations may struggle with corrective actions. Identifying a non-conformity is only the beginning. The organization must determine the root cause, establish corrective action, verify effectiveness, and prevent recurrence. This is where experienced consultancy partner can add significant value. Now, how URGS supports Eco Accreditation Consultancy. At URGS International Certification and Inspection Private Limited, our approach is focused on helping organizations understand requirements, identify gaps, establish appropriate systems, and prepare effectively for applicable environmental and sustainability accreditation or certification requirements. Our consultancy approach can be structured around several important stages. The first stage is understanding the organization's requirements. We review the organization's activities, products, services, processes, locations, environmental aspects, customer requirements, and applicable framework. The second step is gap assessment. We compare existing practices against the applicable requirements and identify areas that need improvement. The third stage is system and documentation development. Where required, we support the organization in developing policies, procedures, formats, records, objectives, monitoring mechanisms, and other necessary documented information. The fourth stage is implementation support. A documented system is useful only when it is effectively implemented. Therefore, we support organizations in understanding how requirements can be integrated into their actual operations. The fifth stage is internal audit and compliance assessment. We help organizations evaluate whether the system is functioning effectively. The sixth stage is corrective action support. Where gaps or non-conformities are identified, we support root cause analysis and corrective action planning. And finally, we support the organization in readiness for external certification, accreditation, customer assessment, or applicable evaluation. Then fifth is Eco Accreditation Gap Assessment. One of the most important services is the Eco Accreditation Gap Assessment. Before implementing a new system, an organization needs to understand where it currently stands. A gap assessment provides that baseline. URGS can review areas such as environmental policies, organizational responsibilities, legal compliance, environmental aspects, operational controls, waste management, energy management, water management, emission-related controls, monitoring, documentation training, internal audits, corrective actions, and control improvement. The exact assessment criteria will depend on the specific Eco Accreditation, certification, customer requirement, or sustainability framework being considered. The objective is not simply to identify problems. The objective is to provide a practical roadmap. For example, a gap assessment may identify that the organization already has strong waste management practices but require better documentation. Another organization may have excellent documentation but weak performance monitoring. A third organization may require significant improvement in regulatory compliance evaluation. Each organization is different. Therefore, consultancy should be customized rather than based on a one-size-fits-all approach. URGS focuses on understanding the organization's current maturity and developing an appropriate improvement plan. Then sixth is documentation and system development. Documentation is an important part of any structured accreditation or certification system. However, documentation should not become unnecessary bureaucracy. Good documentation should support operations. Depending on the applicable requirements, organizations may need policies, procedures, work instructions, registers, checklists, environmental objectives, monitoring records, audit reports, training records, corrective action records, compliance evaluations, and management review information. URGS can support organizations in developing practical documentation aligned with their operational requirements. For example, an organization may need an environmental compliance procedure. Another may require waste management controls. Another may require an environmental monitoring process. Another may need a structured sustainability performance monitoring framework. The documentation should reflect what the organization actually does. We therefore emphasize practical implementation rather than creating documents simply for an audit. Employees should understand the documents. Responsibilities should be clear. Records should be maintained. And evidence should demonstrate that the processes are actually working. Now next is environmental compliance support. Environmental compliance is another important component. Organizations need to understand the environmental requirements applicable to their operations. These may relate to areas such as waste, emissions, water, hazardous materials, pollution prevention, resource usage, environmental permits, reporting requirements, and other applicable obligations. Requirements vary significantly by industry, location, and activity. Therefore, organizations should establish a structured method for identifying and evaluating applicable requirements. URGS can support organizations in developing a systematic approach for environmental compliance assessment. The objective is to help organizations identify applicable requirements, establish responsibilities, maintain evidence, monitor compliance, and address gaps. Compliance should also be viewed as an ongoing process. Regulatory requirements can change, business activities can change, production processes can change, new equipment may be introduced, new products may be developed. Therefore, environmental compliance should be periodically reviewed and updated. The next is sustainability and ESG readiness. Today, environmental performance is closely connected with the broader sustainability agenda. This is where ESG, environmental, social, and governance readiness becomes relevant. Organizations increasingly need to understand how their environmental performance connects with broader sustainability objectives. Environmental considerations may include energy, emissions, waste, water, biodiversity, resource efficiency, and pollution prevention. Social considerations can include people, workplace practices, common communities, and responsible business relationships. Governance relates to organizational accountability, policies, responsibilities, controls, ethics, transparency, and decision making. URGS can support organizations in developing readiness for applicable ESG and sustainability expectations. This can include identifying relevant indicators, developing policies and processes, establishing responsibilities, reviewing existing practices, and identifying improvement opportunities. The objective is to help organizations move toward a more structured sustainability approach. Sustainability should not be treated as a marketing statement alone. It should be supported by measurable actions and credible evidence. Internal audit and compliance assessment. Internal auditing is one of the most effective tools for evaluating system performance. An internal audit can identify weaknesses before they become major problems during an external assessment. URGS can support organizations through internal audits and compliance assessments based on the applicable requirements. During an assessment, we can evaluate whether the processes are implemented as planned, whether responsibilities are understood, whether records are maintained, whether monitoring is effective, and whether corrective actions are properly managed. An effective audit should be treated as fault finding. It should be treated as an improvement opportunity. The objective is to identify risks, strengthen processes, and improve performance. After the audit, findings should be analyzed. Root causes should be identified. Corrective actions should be established. Responsibilities and target dates should be defined. And importantly, effectiveness should be verified. This creates a control improvement cycle. The next is 10th, corrective action and control improvement. No organization operates without challenges. Even mature organizations can experience non-conformities, environmental incidents, customer concerns, audit findings, or performance gaps. The important question is how the organization responds. URGS can support organizations with corrective action process, including root cause analysis and effectiveness verification. A weak corrective action simply addresses the immediate problem. A strong corrective action addresses the underlying cause. For example, if an environmental record is missing, simply creating the record may not solve the problem. The organization should ask why was the record not mentioned. Was the responsibility unclear? Was the employee not trained? Was the procedure inadequate? Was monitoring not established? Was the process too complicated? Root cause analysis helps organizations address the actual source of the problem. This approach supports continual improvement and helps prevent recurrence. The next is 11th, certification and accreditation readiness. Once the system has been implemented and internal assessments have been completed, organizations may prepare for an external certification, accreditation, customer evaluation, or applicable eco recognition assessment. URGS can support organizations in preparing for this stage. This may include reviewing documentation, conducting readiness assessments, identifying remaining gaps, supporting corrective actions, and preparing employees for the assessment process. It is important to understand that consultancy and independent certification or accreditation decisions are separate activities. The certification or accreditation decisions, where applicable, must be made by the appropriate independent and competent conformity assessment or accreditation body according to its applicable rules. The role of URGS is to help organizations become better prepared. Our focus is on knowledge, implementation, evidence, compliance, and continual improvement. Now, who can benefit from URGS Eco Accreditation Consultancy? Eco Accreditation and Sustainability Consultancy can benefit a wide range of organizations. This includes manufacturing industries, engineering companies, exporters, infrastructure organizations, construction companies, energy sector organizations, automotive and component manufacturers, chemical and process industries, logistic organizations, service providers, and many other businesses. It can also benefit organizations working with international customers where environmental and sustainability requirements form part of supplier qualification. Small and medium-sized enterprises can also benefit. In fact, SMEs may particularly benefit from structured guidance because they often have good operational practices but limited internal resources for developing formal environmental systems. URGS can help organizations create practical systems appropriate to their size, complexity, and business objectives. Now, why choose URGS International? So, why should organizations consider professional consultancy support from URGS? Because our approach is focused on practical implementation, structured assessment, professional guidance, and business-oriented solutions. We aim to help organizations understand requirements rather than simply provide documents. We focus on identifying gaps, we support implementation, we encourage measurable improvement, we help strengthen audit readiness, and we support organizations in developing systems that can become part of their normal business operations. Our objective is simple: help organizations meet applicable requirements, improve environmental performance, strengthen credibility, and build a more sustainable future. At last, closing. Environmental responsibility is becoming an increasingly important part of modern business. Eco-accreditation, environmental compliance, sustainability, and ESG readiness can provide organizations with opportunities to improve performance, strengthen customer confidence, and prepare for changing market expectations. If your organization is planning an environmental accreditation, certification, sustainability initiative, ESG readiness program, compliance assessment, or environmental management improvement project, URGS International Certification and Inspection Private Limited can support you with professional consultancy and implementation guidance. For inquiries and consultancy support, email us info@urgsiso.com. Our mobile number is +91 73 5945 8455. This is our WhatsApp number also. We are 24/7 available on WhatsApp. Please contact first through WhatsApp for your query. Connect with URGS International Certification and Inspection Private Limited for professional support in Eco Accreditation Consultancy, environmental compliance, sustainability, ESG readiness, internal audits, corrective actions, and certification/accreditation readiness. URGS helping organizations meet standards, protect the environment, and create a sustainable tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more professional content on ISO certification, inspection, auditing, environmental compliance, sustainability, ESG, and management system consultancy. Thank you, and we look forward to supporting your organization on its journey toward sustainable excellence. Thank you.